Welcome once again to this edition of the Golden Rule. I say once again because I hope some of you are addicted to the program and you wouldn't miss a single episode. But the Golden Rule is a program that's intended to draw people's attention to God and give them an opportunity to hear how God has moved in the lives of other people in the community. If you're in a position where you would like to tell the community what God has done in your life, please feel free to give me a call. Raina will put the phone number up on the screen, and we will schedule you after we have a little bit of an interview. But today I got with me Mike Walther. Michael.
Yes.
Good to have you here. We've been acquainted for some time.
When did you first come to the camp?
1977.
Okay, since then.
Hallelujah. So I've asked Michael to come and share with the local community a bit about his before Jesus and after Jesus life story. So Michael, you just feel free to go ahead.
Okay.
You talk to the folks right on the
well, Barry, I was raised in a really good home. I didn't have an abusive home at all. It was pretty good. It was really good, actually. Mm-hmm. My father was a businessman, and he would always take the short end of the stick before we'd ever cheat anybody. He was just an honest man. I never saw him drunk. Just what you'd call a quote-unquote good middle-class man.
What was the name of the business?
It was Walther's Outboard and Walther's Tackle. It's now J&K Marine.
And okay.
It was tiny then, as the world was different than 60 years ago. Mm-hmm. But I was always kind of a philosophical sort of person. I remember in third grade I was contemplating idealistic philosophy, like Rene Descartes type stuff. I wasn't reading Descartes, but I was thinking, is this world real? That sort of thing. Uh-huh. And so I was kind of an odd duck. And I was kind of lonely, and when the hippie movement came along, with the peace, love, and beauty, I really latched onto that, and I actually became a true believer that if I could just get together with Dick Nixon and Ho Chi Minh, we could blow a couple of joints and we'd solve this problem, which is absurd, but nevertheless, that promise was there. And so I got involved in the drug world. I became a drug dealer. But it was mostly to spread the joy of that world. And anyway, one night I was sitting around, I was actually on LSD. And I got to thinking about life, and I defined myself as having two parts, one the physical part and two the emotional part. Mm-hmm. And I figured, obviously the emotional part would be the good thing to really adhere to be a part of that. And I concluded that the greatest act of love would be to give my life for somebody that I loved. Like if there was a woman that I was in love with and she was going to get hit by a car, I would throw myself out of save her and throw myself, which is kind of true. But I recognized something about that. I recognized now, at the time I called it, I was incapable of non-egoistic love. For you, those out there who are concerned about that theology, what that is a recognition of the basics of the fallen nature of mankind. Mm-hmm. It was sort of a revelation of that. I didn't know that at the time. I knew virtually nothing. I didn't know that Jesus had rose from the dead. None of that. Oh. I'd gone to church, but I missed it all. Yeah. And so
it's possible to go to church and miss it all. Just a little PS.
Yes, it is. That's very true. And so I concluded that since I was not capable of incapable of non-egoistic love, that the emotional realm was not fulfilling. So I decided that I would shoot methadone until I died. But given the finality of death, I thought it wise, and it was wise, to give myself 2 years to calculate, make sure my calculations were correct. Because it's as Dave Seabrook, this will hit you in about a half hour. Why that's true. It's really, once death is kind of yeah, you don't want to, it's really hard to undo that. It's been done, but I wouldn't count on it. And so I went about doing drugs and just...
How old were you?
I was 19 at the time. And in that process, I was looking for something. And I just see the hand of God moving. And I also saw other things too that were not good. But it got to a point where I actually, with the drug dealing, I was actually had an opportunity to go big time with organized crime.
That was your business, huh?
No, I lost money at it. I gave drugs. I gave more away than I sold. I was a horrible businessman. Still am. Just awful. Just don't ask me to run your business. I'll give it away. I'm terrible at that. Because it was more like a club back then. And to me, it was really about the peace, love, and beauty. It was about the promise of the hippie world. And it certainly has gone sour since, by the way. But then one night I was in my dorm room. I was on LSD again, and they had posters in there and album covers, and everything started turning into the devil. Like Sophia Loren, poster of her, and she turned into the devil, and Neil Young on the album cover turned into the devil. And,
really?
Yeah, and I knew I was hallucinating, and I did a lot of LSD over those years. Over that, especially that 1 year, and it had really messed with me. And so I thought, well, okay, being a true blue hippie, I went over to this bookshelf, and some of you may not like this theologically, but God does things. And I opened up the Buddhist scriptures. Now remember, I realized that I was incapable of non-egoistic love.
Yeah.
And I opened up a book, just like this, and it talked about God's non-egoistic love.
Oh.
And I thought, yes, I don't have to die.
That was your phrase, huh?
I do not need to die. There is hope. I can find God. So I began to look for God, and I had mystical experiences. I started doing more drugs. I dabbled in, like Eastern astral traveling and all of that sort of thing. Not really deep, but the problem was I had these experiences, but they didn't change what was here. They didn't change me. They didn't bring me to be changed to love in that non-egoistic manner. And so then I basically, in desperation, I decided to try Christianity. Because after you get weird, you can go, if you get really weird, you end up going back to normal. And that's what I did. Except I didn't know what Christianity was. It was just basically, I left the best world that I'd ever known, the hippie world, and if I can call it that. Well, I guess I can.
I guess
it's
you can.
Minnesota, you can do that here. I was just kind of drifting. And I was at a friend's house, and this guy was in the other room. He was in a separate room, and he was talking about how stupid it was to believe in God. How it was an absolute, complete waste of time. And so I'm sitting here in the other room, and I had left the best world I'd ever known to find God, and I'd found nothing. Everything he said was true to my experience at that time. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I lifted my hands up like this, and I said, Jesus, you got to do it. I mean, I don't know if I'd ever seen anybody raise their hands or anything like that.
Really?
And then I felt like to me it was like a trout stream just came down upon me, warmth. And I can't describe it. I guess it's kind of like Paul said, I don't know if in the spirit or what, but I lost consciousness. And I became aware of the consciousness of God and myself. And the two of us were in that place, whatever that is. And I experienced God's non-egoistic love for me. and I loved God in a non-egoistic fashion. I found what I needed to justify living. I found what I need for purpose. And it was just amazing. I remember I walked out of that place and I walked out on the street, and I used to have little quips about, walking in the dark, and that was gone. And I was changed.
How did you get out of the drug dealing business?
Oh, I forgot that. Yeah, that was something that God did during that time. Right before my experience with seeing the devil, I was downtown, and a guy was handing me some money for a drug dealer, and a narcotics officer drove by. And then it was sad, because then I walked into my house, and the officer came in, and my mom asked what's going on, and we're going up to talk about drugs. And it's just, it was just my poor mother. It was sad. But anyway, so I was up in the cop shop, and we're talking, and I didn't realize a friend of mine had gotten busted for theft. And they offered him the chance to have all charges erased if he would set me up to have me arrested. He turned it down, went to Vietnam. But he told the officer, if you talk to Mike, he'll quit dealing. And so I'm up there and I can't believe I did this. This is abnormal. And it was God, it was God that got me away from going into organized crime. I mean, I just see the hand of God. And if you'll look for God, God will make a way. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean it's easy, but He will make a way, and it's worth it. So anyway, I told the officer, I said, look, if you let me go, I promise you I will, because I was a little too honest. I said, I promise you I will quit dealing, but I won't quit using. And he said, I can't do that. I said, well, I'll tell you what, I promise you, if you let me go, I'll quit dealing. He let me go. And here's the amazing thing of the mercy of God. I've been an emotional behavioral disorder. I've been a teacher. I've been a foster parent. We've mentored many people, have come and lived in our home. I've touched hundreds and hundreds of lives. Yeah. And if I'd been a felon, that could not have happened. By the way, that officer got chewed out pretty good for what he did.
Really?
But I think it was the hand of God. Actually, 3 years later, I was doing drug seminars with him.
Oh, no kidding.
No, yeah, it was. But it was just the mercy of God was just so fabulous. And and then after that experience where I was taken up, it was about 3 or 4 months later that I first really heard and understood the gospel and got baptized in the Holy Spirit.
Where was that? Christian
Retreat.
Oh, really?
Gerald Durstein was so kind to me. And the thing that's amazing is that I did so much LSD that it took a number of years for my hallucinations to go away.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I remember this was before I started using drugs and stuff. I was taking calculus classes, and I remember going to this is before I got saved, before I had that experience. But I remember going to taking kind of a bonehead college algebra class, and I had to smoke a joint to settle myself down long enough to listen. Wow. And I was largely incoherent. I was hard to talk to. I was a damaged individual.
So what fixed that?
Well, God was so good.
Yeah.
It came slowly, but there was a real time where I was at a Bible study, and a lady said that if I would read the Bible, that God would heal my mind. And I read Genesis, Exodus, and Leviticus. And when I read Leviticus, my mind was healed. I didn't get to be any better looking, no. I could have used that, but I'm happy with it. And I have had just a wonderful life. I tell you, God has been so good and so kind.
So your mind came back?
Yes. My boss called me into the office. I was working as a machinist. We were dealing with 50 millionths tolerances and stuff, and I was not doing well.
Yeah.
And he asked me what happened.
Is that right?
Yeah. And
God does stuff like that, doesn't he? Roger last week was telling us how God just healed his shoulder, which he has excruciating pain for 3 days.
Wow.
And prayer. Folks, we're out of time. I hate this. We run out of time so fast, Michael.
That's
We
good.
just about
That's
get cranked. But a reminder again that you can watch this over and over again if you're so inclined, or invite others to do so. We hope by sharing these testimonies that it's touching somebody out there who might have, well, the drug thing is pretty much prevalent in the area still.
He heals. He restores.
Yeah, he does. And if you're in that mess and you're looking for a way out, there is a way out. His name is Jesus Christ. He's the Son of God. He was raised from the dead. He's alive today, and he's waiting for you to say to him, I give up. I'm helpless against whatever it is you're dealing with. I'm helpless, but I believe you can help me. And if you'll do that, your life will change on a dime. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you, and we'll see you next week.